What religion never told you about wealth? They told you that the love of money is the root of all evil, but did they tell you poverty causes more crime than gold ever did? They told you to turn the other cheek, but never explained how to pay rent with that cheek. They told you your reward is in heaven, but left out the part where you're supposed to suffer on earth. And the question is, why? Why have so many religions and traditions silently agreed on one thing? That chasing wealth is wrong, dirty, selfish, even sinful. But what if I tell you? That's not what the original teachings ever meant. What if I tell you you've been misled, not by God but by the people who profit from your lack? You are about to hear what religion never told you about wealth, and I promise it will change everything. This isn't an attack on your faith. This is about freeing it, freeing you. Because the truth is, wealth was never the enemy. The enemy was ignorance, the enemy was manipulation. And if you stick with me for the next few minutes, I'll show you how ancient teachings, modern science, and centuries of misinterpretation have conspired to keep you small, broke, and obedient. And I'll show you the path not just to wealth but to freedom. Let's go back. Picture this. You're 6 years old, sitting in a place of worship. Maybe it's a church, maybe a mosque, maybe a temple, somewhere sacred. You're told stories about humility, sacrifice, service, about giving everything you have, about saints who had nothing, and how that made them closer to God. You're taught to pray for daily bread, not a bakery, to give your coat to a stranger, even if it's the only one you have. You look up at stained glass windows, statues, sacred texts, and you don't question it. Why would you? Everyone you love believes it too, but then you grow up. You see that the very institutions preaching poverty are sitting on golden thrones. You notice the churches have marble floors, the temples have diamond crowns. The mosques are air-conditioned while you sweat through life, and slowly a crack forms in your belief. Wait, is being poor really holy? Or have I been played? Let's start with this. The Bible doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Big difference. Money is just a tool, like a hammer. You can build a house, or you can break a window. The tool doesn't care. But we've been trained to fear the hammer. And who benefits when you're afraid to build? Now think about this. Religion didn't start as an institution. It started as a revolution of spirit, of morality, of freedom. Jesus flipped tables in temples, not because money was evil, but because people were being exploited. The Buddha left his palace, but he never said you couldn't be wealthy. He said don't be attached to wealth. Muhammad PBUH was a successful merchant before he was a prophet. Krishna, a prince. Abraham, a wealthy tribal leader. So where did this idea that poverty equals purity come from? Imagine going to a gym where they tell you, lifting weights is evil, or enrolling in school and being told, reading is a sin. Wouldn't you walk out? But millions of people sit in spiritual spaces every week being told, wanting money is wrong, and they just nod. Why? Because fear is a powerful teacher, and guilt, even more powerful. We were taught to feel guilty for wanting more. But guess who never felt guilty? The kings, the popes, the priests, the emperors. They built empires while telling us to fast. They wore silk while we stitched rags. They wrote history while we whispered prayers. How many times have you needed money and prayed instead of planned? How many times did you say God will provide while ignoring every opportunity he sent? How many dreams died in your heart because you thought wanting them made you greedy? Now listen to this. Your desire for wealth isn't greed, it's growth. Every tree wants to reach the sun. Every bird wants to soar. Every human being is born with a desire, not just to survive but to expand. But when you were young, they clipped your wings in the name of God, and they called it humility. But here's the truth. Desire is divine. Creation itself is a product of desire. A desire to express, to become, to connect. And wealth? Wealth is just stored potential. It's not paper, it's possibility. You can feed one person with love, but you can feed millions with wealth. You can pray for peace, or you can fund schools. You can meditate for change, or you can pay for campaigns, create jobs, build housing, save lives. What's more spiritual than that? So no, wealth isn't unholy. Poverty isn't holy. Attachment is the problem. Greed is the trap. But money is neutral, and in the right hands it's divine. So the next time someone tells you love of money is evil, ask them this. Why did Jesus need a treasurer? Why did Solomon have gold mines? Why did religious texts mention inheritance, land, trade, cattle, and commerce so often? Because wealth was never the problem. It was the ignorance around wealth. Let me ask you something. What would you do with real wealth? Would you help your family? Build schools in your village? Retire your mother? Rescue animals? Fund water wells? Create art? Don't you see? Your wealth has a purpose, but you've been guilted out of your purpose. Imagine how powerful the world would be if good people had great money. You're a good person, right? So why are you broke because someone convinced you to be? They told you money couldn't buy happiness, but the people who told you that never missed a meal. They said money doesn't matter, but still asked for donations. They said be content but never stopped expanding. The truth is, the richest people taught you that wealth was evil, not to protect your soul, but to protect their seat. I remember being broke and spiritual. I'd meditate for hours, pray for miracles, and still couldn't afford gas. I thought I was doing it right, but one day I realized my devotion wasn't the problem, my programming was. I had confused suffering with sainthood. But what if true sainthood is the ability to bless others abundantly? I started learning about money, real money, mindsets, investments, value creation, and everything changed. I didn't lose faith. I found freedom. Did you know that the majority of billionaires give away massive amounts of money? That people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates pledge to donate over 90% of their wealth? Did you know that thousands of wealthy entrepreneurs are building hospitals, funding education, restoring ecosystems? Wealth isn't the enemy. Wealth is the amplifier. If you're kind, wealth makes you a force for good. If you're selfish, wealth just reveals it faster. So stop being afraid of money and stop thinking God is. God is not broke. The universe is not poor. Look at nature. Abundance is everywhere. One tree gives thousands of fruits. One ocean gives trillions of drops. Do you think the creator of all that abundance wants you to scrape by? Or do you think maybe you were made to shine? Not just in spirit, but in impact. And to create impact, you need power. And to create power, you need wealth. Not for greed, but for good. So here's the truth religion never told you. Wealth is not evil. Wealth is sacred when it's in the hands of the awakened. And if you've been asleep, it's time to wake up because your abundance ass is waiting.